Findings that I'm presenting today are coming from a range of projects that I've been doing with different amazing groups of people actually, from the Reimagining Workforce Development project, which was a bigger project involving the outdoors industry association, outdoors week, and a whole range of stakeholders. I'll be presenting some of the findings from the SAFE project, which is currently ongoing and where we have really fresh data about what some of the challenges around being in the outdoor for women from culturally and linguistically diverse communities. And there's an engagement piece as well here that's happening with People in Parks Foundation, which isn't a project itself, but it's more a bit of an engagement with the industry. So what is the outdoor industry? There's so many different terminology and definitions out there, but the one that I've chosen for today is from Cox, who's also a colleague from Victoria University, an ex-colleague, around the different types of activities within the outdoor itself. So outdoor education, if you've got kids going to school camps, that's part of being in the outdoor. Recreation, outdoor tourism, nature-based therapy, outdoor adventure. I think when we talk about the outdoor, a lot of us do come in and think about this very, risky, abseiling kind of activities, adventure-based activities, which is also part of the outdoor. So quite a big range of activities that fall under the scope of the outdoor. Value-wise, in terms of the industry, value and impact. So this is from 2018. So the outdoor contributing to 11 billion GDP and employing up to 30,000 people. But we've got to say here that those figures are quite dated and do not capture the full value of the outdoor from an economic and social perspective because of the health-related benefits associated to the outdoor. And also a lot of the jobs that are situated within the outdoor space are quite dispersed across different industries where the context isn't the outdoor itself. For example, the welfare, recreation, and community arts worker has an outdoor component to it, but is actually conducted within the disability services area and therefore it falls into a different category. So it isn't really counted for the purpose of statistics. So what does that even mean? How do diverse communities view the outdoor? There are two streams, I guess, that's happening at the moment. There's kind of a debate about what falls into the scope of the outdoor. So we've got the structured programs delivered by outdoor service providers like Get Outside Australia, where you go in and have a guided tour, versus self-initiated activities. So you guys going out for a little walk after lunch, just being, in the outdoor space, connected to nature, is also part of the outdoor. There's also a bit of a debate around how do we conceptualize it from an inclusive perspective. So there's a lot of literature around Western values associated to the outdoors, so very seen as a very masculine and rough environment, going to remote areas, doing a lot of, high risky activities. But for a lot of communities, migrant people like myself, being in the outdoor, where we haven't had those kind of, exposures and discussions with risky activities, the outdoor is more, we have a toned down version. So a lot of cold communities, cold women that we've been doing research with, talking about berry picking or going to the park with my family, just taking 10 minutes and walking, in my backyard and being, mindful of where I am. So that there's a kind of a broader and more inclusive understanding of the outdoor for those communities. Our research has looked at some of the health benefits of being in the outdoor. So, and that, aligns with what's out there in literature anyway. I don't know if you can actually read that quote here, but just being in nature, not having to do anything, if you've had a very long day, just sitting down, relaxing helps to bring down your adrenaline level and reduces your anxiety. And there's research around that as well. Social interaction and connectedness. So if you're doing, a walk with your neighbors, if you're going out with a group of people, with your family, just having those kind of connections. Connections with nature is a really interesting one. And that's kind of the work that I'm currently starting with People and Parks Foundation, where we're talking about connection to nature, not just connecting, but also caring for nature. So there has to be this reciprocal relationship, because we are also part of nature. We are also part of the outdoor. And cross-cultural awareness. That's more to do with some of the structured programs that are delivered by service providers, where where there are big ethnic groups that are taken out in the outdoor just to be acquainted with the Australian landscape, with the flora and fauna. We've had a lot of participants, a lot of women talking about the fact that they've never seen a koala before and a kangaroo, and with all the media news about the influence of picking up a wombat, of course, we're going to tell them not to pick anything out, but just being able to, be made aware of what the Australian landscape is like is also related to the benefit of being in the outdoor. Barriers to participation, we've actually found a lot of barriers for women, but also broader, communities to be involved, because not everybody wants to be in the outdoor, like, in that kind of Western way. We've had women from ethnic communities saying, oh, we'd like to go for a hike, but I don't have any friends within my community who'd like to join me, because they want a certain level of comfort that they can't really get by being in those kind of, harsh environments. And we've got another quote here about, snakes and spiders, because we have this idea of, the Australian outdoor as being a very hostile environment, and that can actually trigger fear for some communities. And I think if you've had to, encounter that kind of snake right there, you would really freak out. The emotional load as well, women talking about, having to be a mum, having to be a full-time employee, having to look after my career, having to, look after my family, caring responsibilities, children, grandparents, parents, the sandwich generations, and therefore this idea of responsibilization, having to be perfect across all those roles, means that something has to give. And usually it's self-care that is at the last priority for them. So being in the outdoor isn't always accessible for everybody, because there is a certain sense of responsibility, especially for women, that they take upon them. And in some ethnic communities, it's very difficult to kind of persuade them that it's okay to do 2 things out of your list, rather than having, the whole list of five items. Cultural and religious considerations. So we've interviewed a couple of outdoor service providers, and they were very mindful and understanding that, to have inclusive programs, you've got to work with the community that you're serving, and really understand what their needs are in terms of, prayers, in terms of dietary requirements. But however, there's also some broader, issues that's coming out. So in addition to working with them, there are safety and regulatory issues associated to it. For example, we have this quote here from one industry, pig body in Australia, talking about how, if you were to go to do abseiling, there's a harness that you've got to put in. But if you had a certain type of dress or headdress or whatever, that wouldn't really fit in. So how do we still meet those safety requirements? Because there's like insurance associated to it, and there's a whole range of issues associated to it. So how do we still work with those communities to kind of promote all of that? So it's not a simple, cookie cutter kind of approach, not just working with communities, but it's also broadly looking at different groups of stakeholders associated to the outdoor. And finally, a lot of participants and research that we've done has shown that people, and I'm going to say migrant and core communities, not wanting to be in the outdoor or working in the outdoor, because it's predominantly seen as a very male and white dominated industry. So we work a lot with the industry association, and it's very funny because we've got 1 or 2 women of color who work in that space, and they're so well known because they're just 1 or 2 women of color in the industry. So we've got one quote from that particular person talking about how when they joined, the marketing itself was really about being able-bodied, very fit, very athletic, people being in there. So changing the image of the outdoor industry is something that is on the agenda of the industry association. So this is the bit where Ken would have come in and do the more fun bits. He has put together this really nice slide, and we're going to actually listen to him. He's got a recording as well.
Hi everyone, my name's Kane Ford. I'm the founder of Get Outside Australia, and I wish I could be there with Ancy at the Think 3000 conference to really talk about making the outdoors more accessible to more people. At Get Outside Australia, we deliver guided hiking experience to suit every level of fitness. We love to build people's confidence in nature and really feel the benefits that hiking and the outdoors can provide for both your mental health and your physical health. We're all about making sure that everyone feels safe, supported, and a really inclusive environment for everyone, no matter what part of the world or gender, level of ability or fitness. We want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable on our experiences. One of the things that I'm really passionate about is really helping people remove those challenges or barriers to entry to experiencing hiking or the great outdoors in Australia. Unfortunately, there are a couple of considerations that are challenging for people to take that first step coming on a hiking experience with us. The first one being around personal safety. If you are going out hiking to isolated locations, obviously you're quite a distance from help if anything happens. So for us at Get Outside Australia, we provide that real safety and supported environment where people don't have to go out on their own into isolated locations. They go with a group of people who have experience, who know the area, who know the trail, and we really sort of remove that challenge around personal safety. It's also no surprise that in Australia we have a number of dangerous wildlife such as snakes, etc. Through the trails as well. This can also be a real challenge or a barrier for entry for people to come on a hike or go on a hike by themselves, because they are worried about the wildlife that does exist. So we're really about educating people around how to immerse themselves in nature safely and really feel so that they can really enjoy the experience. And finally, a lot of people come on our experiences because they may not have a group of friends or family that are interested in hiking or the outdoors. And so Get Outside provides a community of people that they can network with, that they can build friendships out on the trail and really create a sense of belonging through inclusivity at all of our hiking experiences. One of the things that I'm really proud of with our Get Outside Australia community is that we've created a diverse and inclusive environment for everyone. So we have people from the LGBTQIA+ community that attend our hikes. I am actually part of that community as well, so I'm very passionate about making feel like they can bring their full self to every one of our experiences. We also have people of all ages, genders, people from different ethnic backgrounds. It doesn't matter what your body shape or level of fitness is, everyone is welcome at a Get Outside hiking experience, and that's one of the really big things about our community. So if you're really interested in getting outside, there's a couple of great resources that can make your experience as safe and supported as it can be. The first thing I would do is download the All Trails app, which highlights every trail around the world, its level of difficulty. It provides peer-reviewed content so that you can see what other people think about a particular trail, and also really gives you that preparation and understanding of what to expect out in a particular area. Another really important app to download is the Vic Emergency app. So what this does is provide real-time updates on any natural disasters or things that you might need to be aware of, such as fires in the area or floods or park closures that may impact your safety while you're out on the trail. The final website that I would really recommend visiting before you head out on the trail is the Parks Victoria website. It has a list of all of the amenities at every state, regional and national park in Victoria, and provides a really great overview and really identifies any park closures or anything that might impact your day out on the trail. So really encourage everyone to get outside, enjoy the beautiful trails and experiences we have in Victoria, and feel the benefits that hiking can provide.